on the streets. Word. It's the Hot Box.
And today in the Hot Box, we're chatting about that. The National Empowerment Fund, in partnership with the Departments of Trade, Industry and Competition, have established an economic distress fund to provide concessionary business loans to black-owned and managed enterprises under financial distress. And to tell us more about this, we are joined on the line by our guest, Ms. Hlengiwe Makhathini, NEF Divisional Executive for Venture Capital and Corporate Finance. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon to you and your listeners.
And thank you so much for making time for us. Now, how much is actually available for small business to claim in this distress fund?
The fund is currently set at 150 million rand to support black-owned businesses during this time of difficulty.
Hlengiwe, it's Lindy. Tell us a bit about the loan conditions. How long do they have to pay it back?
So in terms of the loan conditions, we just, have them to be in line with what the NEF normally offers black businesses, which is normally up to 5 years. And as you will know already, that this particular fund comes with a moratorium because obviously we want to support businesses that are in trouble but that have a potential to turn around. And, to allow them to turn around, we have learned that it's very important to give those, capital and interest moratorium just to make sure that the business can accumulate sufficient cash flow to take care of itself and thrive.
And of course, we know that because of the pandemic, there are many businesses which have had to close down. So would this also apply to those businesses that have now closed shop because there was no help so far?
We're trying to, firstly, address the businesses that are still operational, but if, they're looking at their financials, they can see that for the next 6 months, they are not going to cope. But they will also then be able to demonstrate that in the next 12 to 18 months, if they get help now, they will be sustainable. So I think for us a priority, because obviously as you can see as well, the resources are very limited. So the focus will initially be on the businesses that are currently operational but that are under severe financial distress as a result of COVID.
Hlengiwe, Nevzi, I want to find out how much is the equity and can it be bought back?
So what we do at the NEF is that we try to match the instrument that we invest into the need that the business has. So, for example, if we can see that there's definitely potential in the business, but it is not in a position to service a loan even in the next 12 months, then we can put an equity instrument. But in those instances, we then have an arrangement with the entrepreneur to say, at the end of our investment period, then they have a right to buy the equity back from us.
100%. Hlengiwe, I also want to find out, why is this fund only being made available now when SMEs were suffering the most during the first phase of the lockdown? I mean, lots of jobs could have been saved if this had been done a lot earlier.
I think we'll all appreciate the competing needs that, government has. So, it was really for our shareholder stakeholder department to try and see how they refocus funds. And you might remember that when the pandemic started, the priority was to make sure that we have, all the essential products and services. So the initial funds that were available were focused on helping businesses that were responding directly to the pandemic in the supply, especially those who manufacture the essential products that were required. And the different DFIs had to come up with their own, solutions around how do they help their own clients. But then government, through the DCIC, then came up with this bigger scheme of helping businesses that are in distress.
Hlengiwe, this is Owen speaking, and this is a difficult question, I guess, because, often black business complain about not getting assistance because they have no political connections. So what guarantee can you give that this fund will be given out on merit alone?
I think the beautiful thing about the NEF is that our track record speaks for itself. I mean, since inception, we have approved close to 10 billion rand as the NEF, supporting over 1,000 entrepreneurs, just ordinary people like you and me. So, even with the COVID-19 Black Business Fund, we allocated 200 million rand, and we funded 33 transactions of Black people who are manufacturers here in South Africa. So if you have a good business, you have been, doing all your compliance things, you have your financials, you're up to date with your engagement with SARS, so you have a health clearance certificate. At the NEF, you absolutely don't need any political connections.
And what about corruption? That is the buzzword at the moment. I mean, what measures are in place to stop corruption and to ensure that this aid goes directly to legitimate Black businesses?
I think the governance processes at NEF are very robust. So we have a committee that has been, because we want to have robust governance, but we also want to be agile. We don't want to take forever, helping those businesses that are in distress. So we have set up a special committee that will just focus on transactions that are applying for money for this distress funding. But we have a board, we have a representative from the DTIC who will also sit on that committee. And I'm proud to say that for 17 years running, the NEF has been getting clean audit opinions, because governments, we understand and we believe that it is the crux of really empowering Black people. Because with poor governance and lack of transparency, the fund will not really benefit the right people. So we are very confident that those things don't happen in our space.
And thank you for answering that as well. And now, Hlengiwe, besides the Economic Distress Fund, what other programs does the NEF have to help develop Black businesses in the country?
Also, we have a wide variety of products as the NEF. We have, funding that is focused on helping Black people who want to buy equity stakes into white-owned businesses. We have a fund that is focused on SMEs, and what we do most in that fund is also supporting Black people who want to own franchising businesses. And we have a great track record in the fuel sector, where we have funded over 140 service stations owned by Black people, and they are performing excellently. We also have a fund that is focused on rural and community development. So we're saying people in the rural areas and in townships must not be left behind. We need to come up with a fund that will respond to their needs as business people. And we also have a Black Industrialist Fund, which we call Strategic Projects Fund, where we partner with Black people who want to build, big businesses in the medium and long run.
Well, thank you for your time here. That's all we have time for today here on the Hot Box. We're chatting there to Ms. Hlengiwe Makhathini, NEF Divisional Executive for Venture Capital and Corporate Finance, talking about the Economic Distress Fund, which has been established by the National Empowerment Fund in partnership with the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. And the whole point of it really is to provide concessionary business loans to Black-owned and managed enterprises under financial distress. Please have your say around this via our WhatsApp line. And that number is 0681 9999.